Good morning. You know, it was just a few months ago that many of us were gathered at the Supreme Court. It was quite cold and the snow fell, and I feel the need to tell you one story. That day I stood there, as many of those gathered here prepared to speak. It had to be 30 degrees. People from both sides of this war for women held their signs and made their voices heard. The war on women that day looked like exactly what it is, a war for women, for our vote, and for our allegiance. And I watched as one sweet mother held her child in her arms. Snow fell, she was soaking wet, and this baby was crying. And I watched our legal counsel step over with his big umbrella and just cover her for a second. She stood there that day in support of life, in support of a free market that allows women to make choices and not be coerced by their government to participate in things that they morally or religiously are against. And she looked up at our legal counsel and said, "Thank you. I know it's not much, but I know I had to be here today." And today, I think that's a microcosm of what's happening here behind us. I hope every woman in this country and every American individual acknowledges and lets the umbrella of freedom come over them. That they would stand under an umbrella of religious liberty that supports life in its most innocent form. In this town, there's a lot of talk about what women want. I saw that day what that woman was willing to stand for. You know, women are talked about as if we're one big monolithic group, with Cecile Richards, president of Planned Parenthood, as our self-appointed spokesperson. And I'm here to tell you today that she, nor Barbara Boxer, nor Nancy Pelosi represents women of faith. Women of faith in this country is why we stand here. I'm Alison Howard, Communications Director of Concerned Women for America. We like to joke that we're the only women's organization that actually likes men, so thank you guys for being here to protect life and stand with the mothers and daughters in this country. We stand here today as sisters united together in opposition of the Obama administration's heavy hand, attempts to force us to violate our religious beliefs. The HHS rules, which force employers to provide not just contraceptives, as was so well explained here, but also sterilizations and chemical abortifacients like Ella, are an anathema to our constitutional First Amendment right, as clearly delineated by our founding fathers. Dr. Alveda King talked about going through torture. Guys, we live in a society that just this week saw the United Nations Committee call the Catholic stance on abortion torture. And they weren't talking about what's happening inside that woman. They were talking about priests for life that want to support women in crisis pregnancies with true life-affirming options. Options like adoption. They call it torture. James Madison famously said that conscience is the most sacred of all property. I sat yesterday in our meeting at Concerned Women for America discussing our new healthcare plans. We lost our plans. We now stand with millions of Americans that have lost their plans. We will fight that. We will not allow them to lose their liberty. Americans may have to deal with lost plans, but I pray they never have to deal with losing their religious freedom. Some of our members at Concerned Women for America are small business owners. Some work for employers that would be affected and are affected by the HHS mandate. If we are to truly protect American women and men, let's stand together like we stand here today. We, as Christians, as people of faith, as Americans, want the opportunity to live out our faith in every sector of life and not check your religious beliefs at the door. Thank you to the fathers here, the little sisters of the poor, and those religious leaders that are standing with 2 millennia of people of faith in the face of a culture that seeks to denigrate our beliefs. When religious groups are forced to deny their deeply held religious convictions, I'd like to remind you that is not called balance, that is called tyranny. Thank you for being here today, and continue to stand with Priests for Life against the HHS mandate. God bless.